Hello all, welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to code against the exchange rate API that we have seen in the previous video to get the real exchange rate for our application. So we can get rid of this random code in here. To make an API call, you need something called HTTP client. So we're going to create HTTP client. Client equal to new HTTP client. Okay, so I haven't imported the namespace yet, so this is under system init HTTP, and I have the client ready. So now I'm gonna say client dot get async, which is basically simulating the browser doing the get and displaying it. So it's trying to get from the URL. If you remember the URL from the previous video, this would look something like this. Okay, and get async returns a task. Tasks are awaitable. So there are many different videos on what tasks are, what async operation is. So basically the way you would get data is that var response equal to await on get async. So let's say what this is complaining about is saying the await operator cannot be used with an async method. So we want to make the main an async so that we can use the await keyword. Okay, so this is good. Also, you have to have task as the return type whenever you want to make the method an async method. So it doesn't understand what task is, so we need to import that namespace as well. So that looks good. Now we have the response. Now we can do response dot ensure success status code. So this will make sure that your response is good. So the HTTP client knows about few good status codes. For example, 200 or 201 or 202. Those are good status codes, means that your request has succeeded. Anything in the 400 or 500 range is considered failed. So you would want to make sure that it is good. So this function is making sure that if it is 200 or anything in the 200 to 300 range, this function is not going to do anything. But if it is anything failure, it's going to throw an exception. That's what we want in this program as well. Okay, now we need to get the actual response string. So to do that, you would want to do response dot content dot read as string async, for example. And again, this is an async method, which means we want to await on it, and we can capture in a variable called response JSON. Okay, so this is good. Now so this is returning a string. If you look at the type of this one, this is string. So since this huge data is coming back as a string, we still want something that'll give us some type safety. There should be an easy way to go through this and then figure out where INR is. So to do that, .NET has a way to deserialize the string back into a C# object. That'll make it easier to access as properties. So there are multiple ways to do it. Since this is an easier an example, we don't have to deserialize that into a specific C# class. What we can do is we can deserialize that into a JSON element. So I can do JSON serializer. So I don't have things imported for it. So this comes from the system text JSON namespace, and JSON serializer dot deserialize. I can use a class, the inbuilt class called JSON element, and then I can pass in this string response JSON. Then what I get on the other side is an object of type JSON element. So this will be, I'll probably call it root. A JSON element is a very dynamic class in the sense that if you look at the JSON structure, it is a JSON property can either be a string, a boolean, null, or a number, or it can be another JSON document in itself. So for example, in this case, result is of type string. And if you look at the time last update Unix is a number. And the rates is another JSON document which has all the same properties that will apply to any JSON document. So this internally has another property whose value is a number. So a JSON element is something that abstracts this concept out. So you can get any JSON back and then deserialize that into a JSON element. So the way that we want, since we know the structure of the response, we can always say root dot get property. So we know that we want to get the rates property from here. Sorry, it's a rates property is the top level property that we want to look at, and then inside the rates property is where our rates for the specific currency is. So we want to go into rates, and that returns another JSON element. So where rates equal to this, and rates dot, you can again get property of INR. So let's just hard code this so that we can test it out. Now we have the element, we still don't have the value. So to get the value, you can say get property dot get decimal. And this should print out the value of INR. So we can do console dot write line of this entire expression, so or statement. So in this statement should return the value for INR. So let's run this and see what happens. .NET run. It's going to build our application. It prints out 73.8, just as we expected, because if you look at this, INR is 73.85. Still need to figure out why we are missing 73.85, but maybe the latest response probably just returns 73.85. So let's query for IDR just to make sure. IDR and run it. There you go, get a different value. So that's pretty much it. So now in the next video, we're going to make this a little more dynamic. So instead of hard coding this specific currency, we can take it from the user and then use that currency in here so that the user can get the value that he wants instead of us changing the program every time we want a different currency. See you all in the next video. Bye.